A big week in the Western Hockey League with the trade deadline has come and gone. I'm McKnights, and on this channel we discuss everything related to the Western Hockey League. With about 30 games left in the season, now is a good time to take a look at the standings and see where everyone is sitting. Starting in the US division, we have the very dominant Everett Silvertips with a 35-6 record behind exceptional status rookie Landon DuPont. Following them up, we have the Spokane Chiefs with newly acquired Andrew Cristal, and seemingly the best option to try and catch them. Following that up is the Portland Winterhawks, last year's Western Conference champions, and the Tri-City Americans, both having very good seasons within their own right. And following up the rear, we have the Wenatchee Wild and the Seattle Thunderbirds. Wenatchee, I think, is just feeling a little bit uncomfortable first year in a new city, and Seattle's always got a good program, so I don't see them hanging out in the basement for too much longer. Moving into the BC division, leading the way, Prince George Cougars, as expected. However, what's not expected, tied with them, is the Victoria Royals, who've never really had like the standout need to go program. So I'm very curious to see if they can hold on going into the back half of the season here. Right behind them, Vancouver Giants, always consistent, always going to be there. The Kelowna Rockets, next year's Memorial Cup champions, and I really hope they turn it around before that hits. And then in the rear, the Kamloops Blazers. Again, usually a consistent program, so we'll see how things look moving into the next year. And then, sadly, we go to probably the weakest division in the league right now, is the East Division. Usually it's a strong one, but I don't know what's happening this year. It's just not that great. Leading the way, though, is the Saskatoon Blades. Now, I think Saskatoon might be regretting the release of 20-year-old Austin Elliott earlier this year after only 3 games. He went 3-0 with them, and now he's gone 17-0 in the WHL with the London Knights. Saskatoon could really be liking that goaltending right now, but they are still holding on to first place in their division. Following them up is the Prince Albert Raiders, which is, I think that's where they belong this year. They're having a good year, but not quite good enough to catch Saskatoon, I believe. After that is the Brandon Wheat Kings, always a consistent team, and they've got Carson Bjarnason in net, which means that they're going to be tough to beat. Following that up, Swift Current Broncos, not much to say about them. They don't really have any major standouts in my opinion, nor do they have any really big shortcomings. So, the playoffs are coming, they'll be there. Then we have the Regina Pats. What is happening in Regina? You had a few years with Connor Bedard, then you had the Vaughn brothers, and just nothing clicked. You had Tanner Howe as well, and then, you're just not winning any games. So you send Howe off to Calgary, you send the Vaughns off to 2 different teams, and now you got nothing. So next year's going to be a rough one for you too, in my opinion. And then following that up is last year's league champions, the Moose Jaw Warriors. I don't understand what happened to them this year. They only lost a few key players from last year's run, so they should have still been a pretty solid team. But then, I don't know, they're sitting with 10 wins so far, which is very rough after 41 games. It's going to be probably a 2-3 year rebuild. I'm hoping not that long for them, and their fan base, which is devout. I love their fan base. So here's hoping things turn around quick in Moose Jaw. And then we get to probably the strongest division in the league right now, and that's the Central. Leading the way in a tie is the Medicine Hat Tigers and the Calgary Hitmen. Both made big moves during the deadline, as the Tigers picked up Tanner Molendick and paired up with Gavin McKenna. Those two have been unreal. Behind them, the Calgary Hitmen also making moves of their own, getting Daniel Hauser from Wenatchee and Sawyer Minio from Seattle. That's going to be a scary team, and those two have a big game coming up on Friday night. That's going to be a good one to watch. Behind them, also making big moves, is the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Earlier in the season, picking up Connor Unger from Moose Jaw, as well as just recently picking up Caden Price out of Kelowna. I don't know. They're only 4 points back of Calgary and Medicine Hat, so they might make a push at the end here as well. Right behind them, a bit of a shock this year, I'd say, is the Edmonton Oil Kings. Only a point back of Lethbridge and 5 back of Calgary and Medicine Hat. They started off the year not so great, but then they just started cooking. And then bring in the rear, the Red Deer Rebels, who, despite only having 15 wins through 40 games so far this year, they're always a competitive team. Like, they're not just going to lay down and play dead. And they've got a big game tonight against Regina to maybe get a little bit of confidence back. But who knows what's going to happen. This is a crazy league and things happen all the time. Big scores, big upsets. So I'm very excited to see how the next few weeks go. If you like this video, leave a like down below. And if you have anything you want me to talk about in the future, please leave a comment. I always appreciate that. And subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all things Western Hockey League. Till next time, see you later.